Welcome back to another episode of the Virtual GM Podcast. Today, we are going to give you the 3 most important softwares for you to run your property remotely. And if you stick tuned to the end, huge bonus tip. You're not going to want to miss it. Like and subscribe, and most importantly, enjoy the episode. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Virtual GM Podcast. Megan thinks my intro is funny. This is season 2, episode 3. And in typical Virtual GM fashion, we are going to start off with a segue. If you're an avid listener, you know we are advocates of EOS, Entrepreneurial Operating System, and that's how we start all of our level 10 meetings. We think it's a great way to get to know people and a fun way to start off the episode. That way, if you're a longtime listener, you can stay up to date on what we're up to. And if you're a first-time listener, you can get to know us a little bit more. So Megan, why don't you rip off a segue for us?
Okay. Personal best, we just booked our trip for 4th of July. Which is really exciting. We're going to go to the beach.
Where are we staying? Do you know what it's called?
We're staying in Huntington Beach.
The
waterfront by Hilton.
Yep, that's correct. Awesome Hilton property. We went there back in 2021. So, the one thing about Hilton, you never know what you're going to get.
True.
Some Hiltons kind of are old and have that like YMCA smell.
Yeah.
You stayed there. You know what they're like.
No fun.
But this one is awesome. It is right across the street from the beach. It has water slides, an amazing pool, fire pits, incredible food and beverage, and great rooms. So I'm just so excited to be going back there. 4th of July is the best day ever. It's on a Thursday, which is best case scenario. You couldn't ask for a better day. Oddly enough, most of our properties don't have bookings for 4th of July. So if you're listening to this, get out there and book. Come stay with us. We got lots of great deals going on.
Yeah.
Or come hang out with us at the waterfront and Huntington Beach. I can't wait to go.
Yeah, it's going to be amazing. The weather should be really nice.
Because we were there in March.
St. George, yeah.
And our kids were still going on the water slide.
Yeah, it was
in a
cold.
non-heated pool.
Yeah, no thanks. No thanks. We're on Business Best. We just recently signed a new client. And so we're getting that process started. It's another motel in Oregon as well.
Yeah,
which is
Bend.
really cool.
Third property in Oregon. Isn't that wild?
Yeah, and second motel,
which
is cool.
Yeah, really cool. Okay, so my personal best, we had an awesome pool day the other weekend. I was actually not planning on having it be a pool day for me. I was just watching basketball outside, and then the kids were like, get in the pool, and then you got in, I believe, which Megan's not much of a swimmer. She loves being by the pool, doesn't love being in the pool.
It's true.
And so we ended up having just this awesome pool day. The weather was perfect. You couldn't really ask for a better day than that. And then my business best isn't actually something that I did, but it was Emily going to BuyTac. Because I love BuyTac so much. And it's been such a great experience. If you're an avid listener, you know that. And so to be able to give that opportunity to her to go, and it was the operations BuyTac, which is perfect for Emily. That's her role with us. And she is such an inquisitive person. So she was all about learning about all the new things. There's this one that we already signed up for the Cliff Dwellers, which is an awesome property by the Colorado River. Hotels, kayaking, fishing, restaurant, all the things. It's amazing. One of the coolest experiences you can do. But because they've got all of those operations and so many things going on and they're so remote, we needed a process to manage all of that and keep track of everything. And she found this incredible software that does all that. And they're already fully utilizing it.
Wow. That's amazing.
It's awesome. So having her go, she had such a great time. It was at the JW Marriott in Savannah, Georgia. She said the town was amazing. The property was incredible. And so getting to have someone new from Vibrant go and represent us at that, I just thought was super cool.
That is really cool.
Okay, so for today's episode, if you are a longtime listener, you know that we've not had a virtual GM on the podcast before, and now Megan is our new co-host for season 2, which we're so excited about. And so I wanted to really give you guys as much insight to that process as possible, because that really is what makes us so unique. We're already unique in the sense of we really just work with those smaller properties, and most management companies aren't interested in that because we make a money off a percent of revenue. So ideally you want 100 plus rooms because it's really the same amount of work to manage a 100-room property as a 20-room property from the management side, right? So it's no different, but the income is much more rooms. But because of that, there's no one that really operates in our space. And so we've been really fortunate to find this incredible niche that we get to live in. And the thing that we've really found that's given us the most value is this virtual GM process that allows these properties to save so much money on their payroll. I mean, the amount of money that we can save a property is astronomical. And there's a lot of things that we do to make that possible. So we're going to give you our 3 favorite softwares that we use, but I think let's start with the PMS. So you want to talk a little bit about the PMS that we use for virtual GMs?
Yeah, so we choose WebRezPro. That's who we've been using for the past 3-4 years.
Yeah, well, it started with Breck because that's what they ran the Cliff Rose on.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so the Cliff Rose, before it became a part of the Hilton Curio collection, was ran on WebRez. So that's where he knew it so well.
I got
And so then when they got Watchman Villas, and I don't know why they chose ResNexus. Allison did. Okay.
She's a diehard.
Loves the ResNexus.
Yeah.
And so she chose that. But then when we got our new clients like Cougar Ridge and Dwellings, many years ago, Breck wanted them on WebRez because that's what he knew.
And we had to switch them.
Yes.
Yeah. It's not a very fun process. It's doable and, but
it's harder when they're already open.
It is.
But worth it. So if you're listening and you want to use the virtual GM process, if you'd like to hire us, a requirement for virtual GM is you've got to be on WebRezPro. Now, if you just want us to work with your management or revenue management or marketing, that's not necessarily the case. We prefer that or Think Reservations. We really, really like Think, and they've got this awesome revenue tool called TakeUp, which is amazing. I really like both of those PMSs, but if you're going to do virtual GM, there's just not a better program than WebRez.
Yeah. Well, and a lot of our virtual GMs run multiple properties. So we need to be able to have that seamless switching between the properties, right? Like not logging in to different PMSs.
Because almost every virtual GM, ideally, every virtual GM should have 2 properties because that's what makes it, feasible for them or it's worth their time. And then that's also how we can provide more value to our clients.
Yeah. So I love WebRezPro.
What are some of your favorite things about WebRez from like the operational side?
Well, customer service one, I know that's not operational, but I think that is a huge
Shout out
component.
Kendra.
Yes, I love Kendra.
Think she's listening?
I hope so.
You have
I'll
to
tell her.
her.
And Carrie, our rep. I mean, honestly, their response time is so quick.
Yeah.
Because I've emailed customer service for other PMSs, and it can be days before you hear back. And when you have an issue, you need them to respond.
Yeah.
And that's really huge. Like their response time is very fast. Their reps are very knowledgeable and always solve the problem, which is really great.
Well, and what's crazy thinking back, if you didn't listen to episode 2, go back and listen to it, thinking about your journey, like to where you knew nothing to now, like you build all the WebRezes for everyone.
I know.
That's what you do. Like you're our expert WebRez person.
Who would have ever thought? Not me.
It's crazy,
right?
Crazy to think. But that's the other thing I love about our clients being on WebRez is we really are experts at it. Like there's so many people on the team who can help solve a situation or figure out a dynamic or do this thing or do that thing. And so oftentimes we don't need them, but if we do, they're available.
Right.
Like even just barely, we were, our new property, the local motel and shops in Eugene, super amazing property. Go check it out. Such incredible design. But we had an issue with like an Airbnb listing and Kendra got on it and took care of it for us and got it solved really quickly.
Yeah, she did. But operationally, I think like just the interface itself, they have multiple ways to get to one place. So you get to find what works best for you. Some people like to go, option 1, some like to go option B, but it's really nice. And just the interface, looking at it, it's clean, it's easy to read.
Yeah,
I really love
busy.
that. No, it's not. And you really can find everything, which some PMSs, it's very difficult to find what you're looking for.
And the reports are great. One thing that we really love from a revenue standpoint is what helps us make educated decisions is we will look like, so right now, if we're looking at May and June's revenue, we'll go back and say, how much revenue did we have on the books for May and June at the same time last year? Mm-hmm. And WebRez gives us the ability to pull that report, and many PMSs don't, and I don't know why that is. Yeah. You can see what your revenue is that you did, but we like to see how much revenue did we have booked at this exact time last year, so we know, are we really behind or ahead of pace? Mm-hmm. And it helps us make educated decisions, because if we are way ahead in revenue, we know we can stick to our rate integrity and we don't need to drop rates. We can have this high rate, but if we're behind, we know we got to pick it up and we got to get caught up. And WebRez is really the only one I found. Actually, I take that back. Think has it too. And that's what I love is both those properties allow us that tool to make educated revenue decisions.
Yeah. The amount of reports you can pull, like custom on WebRez, so many.
And you can also send them up to send them out. So like some of our owners, there's particular reports they like to see. We can build that report for them and it'll automatically email it to them like every morning, which is awesome.
I love WebRez.
I think what I also really love about it is almost all of our virtual GMs didn't have hospitality experience until they started, and they're all on WebRez, and like all of you guys are self-taught. You know, like even Emily, when she was the manager at the Perry, which is a 100-room property, she just had to learn it. You know, and it's so easy that you can do that, and they have video tutorials for like everything. So if you don't know how to do something, most likely WebRez has that tool built to tell you how to do it. And I also love the integrations. And also the global admin. So if you're managing many properties, right? If you have multiple properties, you can switch between them without having to log out or log back in, which is really nice. Yeah, that actually saves a lot of time.
It saves
like when I pull reports,
it
just go and switch out through properties.
I actually didn't use that until last year. Like, I didn't even know about it. And so I was never taking advantage of it. And so I was having to log out, log back into each property I wanted to go into. I know.
Look at you.
Changed my life.
Learning.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else you feel like we should talk about for WebRez for people?
I feel like that's good.
Okay. All right. So then let's hit them with our 3 favorite softwares. Which one do you want to start with?
Akia.
All right. Akia. Akia is amazing.
It is. That's a messaging system, but really they're more than a messaging system, right? Like just guest communication, but they've even
guest experience. You could even say.
Guest experience. But they've even added now, like where they're going to start hosting the lock systems.
Yeah, I would love to try that somewhere, you know,
so
because if you could not have to have so many services, that would be ideal.
It would be nice, right? Because through them, you can have all your guest communication, all your guest books. They also offer like upsells. We don't take advantage of that because we don't really have anything to upsell.
Well, yeah, the hard part for us is our properties are ran virtually. So there's not like, we couldn't do like an in-room wine package. One, we're in Utah, so it's challenging. And then 2, we don't have anyone there to do it. But if you're listening to this and you are like running your own property and you are there, but maybe in a flexible way where you're not like at a desk every day and you want to have upsells, you can incorporate that, which is pretty amazing.
It is amazing. And I feel like they just keep coming out with more.
Yeah, and you could upgrade a room if you have different room types. You could offer that through there.
Early check-in.
Yep, right. All of those things. And I'm an advocate of if you can get a guest into the room early and it doesn't cost you extra, like if your housekeeper's not having to double time to do it and it's just the room is ready, let the guests in.
I agree. I think it makes
give them that
huge
unexpected delight. Let them have it. Like I would never charge a guest for early check-in unless it was like we couldn't have it ready unless we bring in an extra housekeeper.
Yeah, at that point, it's just based on availability.
It's fine. But if it's available, let them do it.
Well, Akia has set it up in a way where if you do the upsells for like the early check-in or late checkout, it's going to run it in the system to know if it's even available to do.
So it's going to like check WebRez and see if it's clean.
Because they have all the reservations. So they're going to say like, well, it's not going to work or it is going to work. So that really takes that off your plate as well, which is really great.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so talk about all the things that you use in Akia that we use on our properties.
Well, we use the journey, right? So we take them through the automated messages where we send out the guest agreement. So we use that for every property where, we have our terms and conditions. They're having to check it and sign it.
How amazing is that?
It's amazing.
Because how many properties out there have like a smoking policy or a pet policy, and then the guest smokes in the room or the dog uses the bathroom in the room, and they don't have any way to like validate that they were aware of that.
Exactly.
Now we have their guest signature. So the charge, like if they do dispute it, we've got a signature and we're going to win that dispute.
Exactly. And it pushes it to WebRez. So then it's attached to the reservation. You can view that anytime, which is really nice.
That's amazing.
We use the message that checks in with the guests. So a day after their stay, if they're staying longer than 1 day, it will reach out to them and ask like how their stay is going, what they would rate it, any feedback, which is really nice. And then you have the departure message. So letting them know like, this is a friendly reminder. This is when checkout is, which is really great. So people usually, if they're requesting a late checkout, they respond to that. Or if they've left early, they respond to that.
And how much easier to have them text message than have to like call and request.
Yeah.
Right. And easier on you guys as virtual GMs. And the other thing that we haven't even touched on yet is the Akia also has the AI built into it too.
Yes.
Right. So there are those generic questions that every property knows they're going to get, and they know what the answer is, be it parking or Wi-Fi or any address, all of that stuff. And now AI will just answer for you, which is amazing because that just takes that much more engagement off from you guys off the plate.
Yeah. And we also use their, so they have like mini apps, you build them out. And so check-in instructions. So it tells them what room they're in, their door code. Everything they need to know that you want them to know about the property is in this.
And how do the guests receive it?
Through a link.
And how do they get to the mini app? Through that link?
Yeah. So we'll just text them and it will just be a little link that you can click on with the guest book. And so it just has like the Wi-Fi in there as well, the address, everything. Restaurants, if you want to put in nearby restaurants.
Yeah, Renee, the Shelby Inn in Illinois, they have like a whole like to-do thing in theirs.
Which is great because a lot of people are like, hey, what do you recommend?
Yeah.
That really just takes away that question because they can see for themselves like what's around, what's to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Having that digital room book is pretty amazing.
It's really changed our guest experience and the amount of questions we're getting because they're getting it 3 days before arrival. So they're really able to go through it and see the information.
The evolution of the virtual GM product from
when
you started in February of 2021 to May of 2024 is pretty remarkable.
It is.
You know, like, could you imagine having to go back and do it the old way?
I couldn't.
You wouldn't.
I wouldn't. Knowing now what I know now, I couldn't.
Okay, so is there anything on Akia that we haven't talked about yet that you feel like we should cover?
That's pretty much what we use. Their customer service is also really great. You know, they have support chat built in there, and reaching out to them, they're really fast to respond. So it's
what's Akia cost? Is it based on your room count?
It's based on your room count, and like what status you want. So I think like they have gold. I think that's what we usually sign up for.
You can talk when I sneeze.
Okay. So I know what it costs for our clients. I don't know what their actual cost is.
Gotcha. So if you're listening and you're interested, sign up with us and you get a better deal.
You do. And you get a discount and they waive the setup fees, which is huge.
Ayo. That's a big deal.
Yeah. Because you pay that fee through WebRez and Akia. Yeah. And so if they waive that, that takes
a lot of benefits with working with us.
Definitely.
Okay. Well, if you don't want to work with us, still get Akia either way. It's 100%. Awesome. We can get you pointed in the right direction. You want to reach out to us, you can do that, and we'll get you set up with Akia rep. Okay, so software number 2. If you are a listener, then you've listened to the CEO of this company, Risha. She was our last episode. Over 450 downloads, which is pretty amazing. Wow. And I think the reason why is because people want this service, and that's Lynx Locks. Yes. And they have just been such great partners of ours. Also, if you work with Vibrant, you get a special rate with them as well. And if you're really interested, like, we're going to give you a synopsis right now, but if you really want to get into it, go back and listen to that episode with Risha, and she talks all about it. But why don't you let the listeners know a little bit about Lynx Locks and how we use it?
So that's our lock service, which is really great. So it connects to our locks on the property. Guests are able to go enter their code, get in. We have that back end where we can see, the guest code, all the notifications of what's happening on that door lock.
Housekeeping
which is really
codes
nice.
If we need.
That's where we set up all of our codes. If guests are having trouble, we can unlock it remotely, which is really nice.
Yeah.
I love Lynx. I love the platform. It's super easy to use.
It connects quickly.
It does.
There's another program that we use too. We won't say their name since I will say not the greatest things, but they, I believe, can only connect with the lock once an hour.
Yes.
And so that obviously can present problems if you need to change the code or something happens. But Lynx is just like direct. It's just so good.
And we never have issues, honestly, like knock on wood, but it's very rare that we have like a connectivity issue or an issue with the locks, honestly.
Yeah. And I mean, if you think about the dwellings, because they've been using it the longest.
Yeah.
And we are in the desert where it can be 120 degrees in the summer. Some of them are in direct sunlight. And like they're all
of them are.
Yeah. Well, no, stackers are like kind of shaded. Because,
that's true. Okay,
you know what I mean?
4 of them, right.
But yeah, most of them are in direct sunlight and they're still kicking.
Yeah.
Working great.
I mean, sometimes the hardware fails, right? But that's not on Lynx. That's just the lock itself being used so much.
Yeah, Lynx is amazing. And so why we like Lynx so much is what it allows, because we should probably get a little bit more granular here, is that it allows us to not have to have someone on site because they just get a code to their phone.
Exactly.
And so it just got a key code on it. And so they're able to just access that without ever having to interact with any front desk. They don't have to have a card. They don't have to have anything on them. And they don't even have, it's not even like they're using their phone, because you can do like RFID stuff too. But this is just a code. So then if they're traveling with people, they can share that code with them. Allows them access in and out. They can lock it that way. And it's really like the most important tool for us to operate virtually. Like without that, it's impossible. You can't do it with another keyed system, right? And so, and really it's quite affordable for what it is. Again, I don't know what the regular pricing is.
I don't think it's bad though.
I don't think it is.
I don't.
I don't. Yeah.
Not for what you're getting.
I know, not at all. Not for the savings you can have, right? Because you got to buy locks either way. So no matter what, you're buying some version of a lock, and then the software and what it's saving you. Even if you do have a front desk, or if you've got someone on property, it's still saving you time because you're giving the guest the option to not even have to come to the front desk if you are there.
Mm-hmm. Well, what's cool is you can buy locks from them, right? And so we have a couple different setups where we have the hubs where it's really secure, that connection, but you have to have that extra piece of equipment.
Yeah. Is that like what Watchman has?
That's what Watchman has. But like Jordan, he just has Yale locks. So you can purchase those anywhere and you can still get the Lynx service and connect to it.
Yeah.
Which is really cool. So you're not really, in this little box of locks you really can have a variety of locks and still use Lynx.
Do you think it would work for an interior corridor property in the same way?
I think so.
Because I know,
as long as your Wi-Fi is
Mojave
strong.
Edge wants to do it, right? Because then that would help them with their front desk expense.
Yeah. I don't see why it wouldn't.
The only thing that's tricky for like a Mojave Edge type property is they've got those electric doors in the front. Mm-hmm. And so if you wanted to, like they'll lock those like in like cities where you have to put your key to open the doors. Mm-hmm. And so I don't know if Lynx has a process for that. Like where you could have like a key code on the outside that would open the slider, because
I'm not sure.
If your interior corridor, you don't want that just open to anyone.
True.
At certain hours, depending on what area that you're in, you know? But yeah, big fans of Lynx. Risha's amazing. The whole team is great. Again, if you're interested in that or you want more information, reach out to us. We'll be, whether you work with us or not, we're happy to give you in the right direction or pick our brain, to figure out best practices. Okay, number 3, and this is huge. This is one of the other most important keys, especially when you're working with the team. So we don't have any of our virtual GMs take the phone 7 days a week because I don't think that's healthy. We know that. If you want to learn about that, go back and listen to episode 2 of season 2. Meagan will tell you all about it. But that is our voice over IP phone system, Mango Voice, and I'll let you talk about it because you know it more than I do.
Well, what I love about Mango Voice, where we do have a team, right, and we have multiple people taking the phones, is it allows you to switch the phone number in Mango Voice. So Monday through Thursday, I get the phones. On Friday, I switch them over to Becca. She takes it through the weekend. It's really nice. You can set up business hours, which is super helpful.
Yeah, that makes a huge difference.
Yeah, and you can just route them how you want them to go.
Talk about why that's important.
Well, if you don't have business hours set up, people are just going to assume that you're open 24 hours.
Yeah.
And so you will get calls in the middle of the night for things that are not important, that don't need to be done right at that hour, right? And so it deters those people who are looking to do something they can do during business hours.
Yeah, and it's fine to call them back and book it the next day.
That has made such a huge difference because I can't tell you how many calls I've gotten in the middle of the night.
Oh, yeah.
From like a guest like wanting to change a reservation. Like,
or even just being curious. Like, I was wondering about maybe booking, and it's like 2:00 in the morning.
Nobody wants to be woken up in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
And so that's
better be an emergency.
Yes, which we have that option.
Yeah.
Which is great. So it's like if you are a guest and you need our help, press 1.
Absolutely.
And it routes you right through, which is really nice. So it's made a huge difference.
What I love about Mango Voice too, I love that you can switch it, right? Because like our virtual gyms are all over. We got one in Wyoming, we have one in Arizona, we have one in Kanab, we have one here in St. George, like all over the place.
Yeah.
And it allows us to do that because you can just switch it,
Well, and from your own cell phone. So you're not having to get another device.
Yeah.
Which is huge.
And then if something happened to your device, you could just switch it to another one, right? And so it makes it really nice. And then I also love that it records all the conversations.
Yes.
It's just a peace of mind for all of our owners that in the event they ever wanted to see how you guys were doing, they could always go in, log in, and listen to the call logs at any time.
Yes.
Or if there's an issue that comes up, or if something happens, or there's a dispute, all of that is logged and recorded. And it also gives that, where we are in this space of being in boutique and we're smaller and we're not these big corporations, but you call and you do get that greeting, and it gives you that sense of like trust. Oh, this is a professional organization. It's not just some random person answering their cell phone. Like, you're going through a real company.
Definitely. And they have an app too, which is really nice. And so you can actually call. So when you do the external transfer, right, where I set it up and it comes to my number.
Yeah.
If I call them back on my personal phone, they have my personal phone. But you can use the
Oh,
app
yeah,
to
yeah.
make calls back, which is really nice. So then it's actually coming from the business phone, which
Smart.
is really nice.
Yeah.
And then you just have all the call log there in your app. So it's separate from your personal phone.
Yeah, it
which
allows
is
you to
great.
have that separation between
Yes.
business and personal, which whether you're using like a virtual GM process like us, or you're just an individual running your own property,
Yes.
and you don't want your personal phone being bombarded when you are trying to take a break for yourself, you know?
I think it's important to have those things set in place, like the messaging to a different phone number that's not your personal number, because it's really easy to miss things when they're just
Yeah.
being mingled with your personal. Forget it. You're missing text messages from
For sure.
guests, for sure.
Are there any softwares that we also use that we didn't talk about that you feel like this is something that people should look into or use?
I don't think so. Those are the main ones that we use on a daily.
Yeah, that's probably the most yeah, I'm thinking, because if you do sign up for virtual GM, right? Like if you want to work with us and you want to utilize the service, the prerequisites are
WebRezPro,
WebRezPro is first and foremost. You
Akia.
don't want to do it, can't do it.
Yeah.
Got to have Akia. No option there. Got to do it.
Mango Voice.
You got to have Mango Voice. And
And
you don't have to use Lynx. There's other options, but
Correct.
preferably.
Well, yeah, we definitely need a automated lock
You got to have some
system.
sort. It just doesn't
Yes.
necessarily have to be Lynx, because there's
Correct.
other options out there that work. But if you really want to follow, and this is whether you want to work with us or you just want to take all of our years of experience and use it for your own property, that is the system.
Yeah.
WebRez,
Akia,
Akia, Mango Voice, and Lynx. That is the proven process. The other thing that you can do too is, obviously we are in the management space, we're in the virtual GM space, we're in the marketing space. But if you're like, I want all that, but I don't want to do it, you can reach out to us and we can just get your property set up. Whether you want to work with us in the future or you don't, if you just want us to set your property up, we can do that for you as well. So if you're listening to this and you're like, gosh, that sounds amazing, but the work of doing it sounds terrible, which it's a lot of work. Meagan just barely finished the local. It's a lot of work.
I do all the work. Yeah.
Yeah. But Meagan would be happy to take you through that. So you can reach out to me. Easiest way, you can go to our website. You can fill out a contact form there. It'll shoot me an email, or you can just email me at Cody@thevibrant.team. Meagan, give me your cell phone number.
You're cute.
But honestly, we would love to help you do that. We just want to help make a difference. The idea is, if we give away a bunch of information for free, use it. And
Yes.
once you're using it, if you feel like we could benefit you, then that's awesome. Really cool. Like we've got our property in Delaware, the canal side, avid listeners of the podcast. They did a bunch of our stuff,
Yes.
and then they're like, well, we're doing it all. And we just start working with them, and so it's been really fun. We've been working with them now for, I think we're at like 6 months, and we're just about to get into like their first real season,
Right.
because they're a beachside property. And so I can't wait to see how that all goes, but it made the process of starting with them so much easier, because they'd already implemented a lot of the things that we had talked about,
Yes.
a lot of our best practices, or like some of the other new properties that we've signed who have been listeners of the podcast. They already know what to expect,
Yes.
because we talk about it ad nauseum. This is what we do. This is our proven process. And what we found is we've signed people who didn't want to do the proven process.
Doesn't
And-
work.
And as a young company looking for growth, we said yes, and we failed them and we failed us.
Totally.
Right? Like we weren't able to provide value. There was one property we worked with, Charmene. We're great friends. Shout out to her. She got an awesome property in Albuquerque called Hotel Zaz. And I can't even remember what her PMS was called, but we were going to stick with it and we tried it. And it's like, because we weren't the experts and she was, like, she couldn't come to us for it. Like, oh, I need help with this, because we didn't know how to do it.
Right.
And so we presented such limited value for her. So it's like, come on board with us. Let us take you through our process so we can really be those experts and advocates for you and really help move the needle for your business. And if you do that with us, I honestly believe there's never an instance where whatever our fee is that we're not able to, either through cost savings or through growth, cover. I mean, we should ultimately be a free service.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Okay. So anything else, if someone's listening, they want to do this, anything else that they need?
No, really, those are the
Yeah. Have a good
core
website.
foundation. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. A good website is helpful.
Yeah. Gotta have a way. And that's actually a good point. Oh shit. I think I got a bonus tip.
What?
Bonus tip. You got to have a good website, because otherwise you're going to be inundated with phone calls. Like
Yes.
they shouldn't actually. Wow, what a good bonus tip! Like
Yes.
Goosebumps bonus tip. It's coming in
Wow.
hot bonus tip right off the press. You got to have a good website, because if you don't, then they are going to call all the time. In fact, I was at BuyTech and we're at a round table and someone said, what do you think about the chat feature on the website? Do you think you should have it or not? And I said, honestly, if people are using the chat feature, it means your website's not good enough. Because if you're not able to just answer their questions clearly by looking at it, then something is wrong with your website, because it should all be there. You can go on to thevibrantteam.com and you can kind of go see all the different websites that we built for our properties, but you have to have a compelling digital presence for a multitude of reasons. It's going to limit your phone calls. It's going to give them more confidence in booking. And the other thing is, you want these customers to book with you directly. And if your website doesn't look good and it doesn't feel like secure, then they may find you, but be like, I'm going to book on Expedia just because like I know it's going to be okay there, right? So you got to have a good website, and there's so many different ways you can go about it. There's a lot of different, you can do a fully custom site. There's this amazing tool out there called Nexo Web AI. It actually uses AI to build your website for you. Super affordable. If you're looking for something entry level, I would go that way. If you want something more custom, those are all the sites you're going to see on the Vibrant team. We can certainly help facilitate that. But whether it's with us or with someone else, you've got to have a good website, and you got to invest in content, because content is what changes the website.
Definitely.
Like the second that we get that good imagery, we get good videos, it changes a website so much. So don't skimp on your content in the beginning. Find a professional, have them do it. If you're in the area and you need direction on that, we've got some awesome photographers we work with, but certainly invest in content, invest in your digital presence.
Yeah, it changes the guest experience from the second they get on there.
Oh, 100%. Sure. And the changes the confidence. And most people are going to check 7 different platforms before they book. Yes. And so you want yours to be the one, right? Because anywhere else, you're losing some of that revenue, and they're also not your customer. So like if you want to email them after, or you want to continue to have outreach, they need to go through you to be your customer. Because if they book on Expedia, you're not getting their email or their contact information. That like they're really not your customer. They're Expedia's. And so you want to do everything you can to make them yours, have a compelling offer, which is why I love Stash, because then we're able to offer a special rate that no one else can get anywhere.
True. Right?
They can have the lowest rate of anyone because they're membership program, not an OTA. So I would highly recommend that. Anything you can do to get the eyeballs on your property. But that's it. I mean, those are the keys.
I agree.
Those are the software. So we'll recap it. PMS, highly recommend WebRezPro. Secondary, think reservations. Favorite softwares, Akia, Lynx Locks, and Mango Voice. And that's a wrap.
Yeah. Love it.
Okay, well, thank you for listening. We hope you enjoyed that episode. I hope it was beneficial for you. If you're curious about Virtual GM, you want to learn more, or you want to have Meagan build your PMS, you can reach out to her at Meagan. You can spell Meagan 100 ways. She spells it Meagan at thevibrantteam.com. Thank you so much for listening.